Welcome to Intuitive Mind Lab Radio, where science meets spirituality and unravels the mysteries of the mind and the universe. I'm your host, Lindsay Goodwin, a self-mastery mentor, born intuitive medium, and licensed health provider with a knack for blending neuroscience with a touch of the cosmic. This radio show skips the small talk and dives straight into the big, impactful energies. You're in the right place if you're a growth-minded, science-loving, wellness enthusiast, or a spiritual seeker ready to kick limiting beliefs to the curb. I've got you covered, from self-mastery tips to deep dives into manifestation and the esoteric. Buckle up, because we're about to upgrade your mind and master your life. Welcome to Intuitive Mind Lab Radio. Hello, beautiful infinite creator, and welcome back to Intuitive Mind Lab Radio, the podcast where we skip the small talk and go right into the deep stuff. I am so excited that you're here joining me again for yet another inspiring and mind-blowing episode. Today's episode is truly fascinating and an empowering one, and we are going to talk about our cells and the energy of DNA connection and how that relates to our ancestors, our traumas, and our energetic imprints, which is also known as the soul blueprint. And this is within our soul and our physical DNA. And those that know me know that I'm all about integrating the science with the unseen, and really that higher mind and the soul self, and really having the most empowered, awakened journey that you can possibly have in this human experience. So I'm all about empowering you, and we're going to do so much of that today. We're going to do so much education and empowering. We are going to uncover how the concepts like the Akashic DNA, generational trauma, and energetic memory come into play. And most importantly, how we can begin to heal and transform at the cellular level. So go ahead and grab yourself a cup of tea. I know that I have mine. And give yourself some space and settle in, because this is going to be a lot of great information for you. And you might need to come back and listen to this episode again, because it might be a lot of information. First off, we are going to start with understanding the cellular energy and DNA. So it's important to understand the basics. Every one of us has trillions of cells in our body carrying DNA. And this is known as the blueprint of life, or like I like to call it, the soul blueprint. But DNA isn't just a physical structure. It's also deeply tied to energy. And what scientists now know is that DNA carries information in the form of genetic code. And we're also seeing this in quantum physics. So there really is an emerging of the energy with the science. And we're seeing that these emerging streams of thought in both the scientific and spiritual communities suggest that DNA also holds an energetic imprint. So that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. Energetically speaking, our cells act as tiny little storage centers. They carry information that is just about, not only about what we are physically, but also about who we are energetically. That DNA is impacted by our emotions, experiences, environment, and even the traumas or behaviors of our ancestors. And you heard that right. Yes, our ancestors. And we're going to be talking about that today. So recent research in epigenetics shows the study of how external factors can affect the expression of genes. Shows that trauma can leave a lasting mark on DNA, even well beyond your lifetime. This means that pain of an ancestor 3 or even 10 generations ago can create patterns that influence your cells today. Man, does that sound wild? Isn't it wild to think that that could actually be happening? Well, listen, beautiful, I gotta tell you, it absolutely is. And it's happening all at the same time. It's interesting to note that nothing is separate from one another. Everything is all morphed together and happening all at once when we think of consciousness. That's why nothing, like I stated, is ever separate. Everything is just mirroring back to you what it is that you need to know. So that's what your ancestors are doing, and this DNA that you're continuing to hold within your experience, because it's all connected and it's giving you the opportunity to clear that karma. And I'm going to get into that more. So, but on a soul level, it really does make sense, because everything really does boil down to energy, which is consciousness. And that's what science is as well. So let's go ahead and shift the focus for a minute, and we're going to talk about mitochondria, which is often referred to powerhouses of the cell. And it plays a crucial role in sustaining life by producing energy in the form of ATP. Okay? These tiny little organelles work tirelessly to fuel cellular processes from muscle contractions to DNA. Interestingly, mitochondria have their own DNA, separate from the DNA found in the nucleus, and this mitochondrial DNA is passed directly from mother to child. So on a deeper level, the health and efficiency of your mitochondria may not only influence your physical energy, but also be impacting the inherited patterns, possible intertwined with the legacy carried by the Akashic DNA. I'm going to talk about Akashic DNA and really what that is in a second. This connection hints at a fascinating interrelationship between the ancestral energetics and cellular powerhouses, bringing the physical and the intangible. Remember that over 90% of everything that exists in the universe is not physically in front of you. It is constantly moving and morphing into something else. That's why your thoughts are so powerful, because that is how you attract to you what it is that you're experiencing in your physical reality that actually is in front of you. Like, you can see it, it's tangible. Okay. The greatest illusion that has ever been, I have a lot of illusions, but if we think of the bigger scale of things that has ever been taught to the masses is that something doesn't exist if it isn't in front of you. Man, oh man, is that bullshit. You actually are creating what's in front of you based on what you're thinking about. So the reason why this was started was to take the power away from the masses, to think that, oh, if this is in front of you, this is all that there is. It's bullshit. I've always found it interesting that that's how many people live their lives. Things are changing now. There's a lot of people that are starting to realize that manifestation, for example, is real. Quantum physics exists, and that the spiritual stuff not very far-fetched. It just is saying things in a different way. It actually aligns with science quite often. It's just a different perspective. For example, biofield, aura field, they're the same thing. It's just different ways of saying things. One is spiritual, community. One is science, community. But we can't prove everything. You can't prove most things. And when we're so concerned about the physical level and it has, I'll believe it when I see it kind of shit. Guess what? You're limiting yourself, completely limiting yourself. Because if that's how you're living your life, you're only going to see what you believe. It's all you're going to see. And so the illusion, the great illusion, I'm just going to call it, of how generations have been functioning for years and years and years and years, pretty much since the existence of humans. I mean, all existence of humans. That it's so disempowering to create, it's been created, the system to disempower you, to believe that, I'll believe it when I see it. All this energy talk, all this spiritual talk, it's just weird. It doesn't exist. It's limiting you so that you're not powerful. See, believing that you create your own reality is power. That's why listening to the news, paying attention to politics, like buying into all that bullshit, it's an illusion. It's all fake. Okay? So I won't get into that too much because that's not what this podcast is about. But I'm empowering you to understand that everything you need is within you. It's not outside of you. It's not politics. It's not government. It's not religion. It's not the medical system. It's not some guru. It's outside. It's not outside of you. It's in you. It's within. Everything is within. You're not separate from the universe. Even though you feel like maybe sometimes that you are, because you're an entity, like a human, you know, there's this, we're taught to think that we're all separate, and we're not. Everything is connected. It's not separate. Like, you are the universe. You're not outside of it. You are that. You've always been that. You always will be that. I know there's many people that think that this is not correct to say, but I don't care. This is what I believe. You are God. I am God. We are all God. God is not outside of you. God is you. You are made of God. Okay? You're a version of God experiencing itself in a unique version, in your version. Okay? So you're not separate from it. These teachings are wrong. They're wrong in what I believe. If you believe something different, that's okay. I talk about this a lot, but anybody that's trying to prove anybody wrong is just in the ego. Because anybody that's truly awake knows that we all can have our own perspectives, and we don't have to fight about it. Why does it matter if somebody doesn't believe what you believe? I don't care. It doesn't bother me one bit. If people want to believe that, if people believe in Christianity and that's what they believe in, or that's amazing. Just don't try to push your beliefs on me. And I don't do that with anyone in my beliefs. I can state what I want to. It doesn't mean that I necessarily believe that you have to believe everything that I believe in, right? We need to be respectful of people and their perspectives. But these are my beliefs, okay? So take what resonates. And if it all resonates with you, that's great too. So on a deeper level, that our health and efficiency of our mitochondria is not only influenced by your physical energy, but impacted by these inherited patterns, like I'd stated before. So in other words, what we can really think about is that this ATP that we're carrying from the mitochondria, that this is coming from all the women in your family, because it's passed through your mother's DNA. So if you had a grandmother, for example, that had phobias about deep water, and really what this is translating into is water actually is a subconscious mind, especially if it's deep. So, and then that also is tied to the divine feminine, because remember what I was saying about the darkness and the deepness, that's the feminine. The divine feminine is very multi-layered. It's internal, so it's the unknown energies. So then if there was these energies of being fearful of going within and really being able to work on the shadow self and clear what no longer serves. So if that was maybe something that your grandmother had, just using it as an example of phobia of water, it could start with the water. It's interesting to note that if you really have, and I've had a lot of clients, and I've also had myself, being very fearful of water. Water also is in the womb space. So was our birth traumatic? Was there a lot did we feel trapped in the womb, in the water? You know, these are interesting things to think about. And these patterns carry on because our subconscious mind is actually forming in the last trimester all the way until about 7 years old. Okay. So what that means is that you could have had an experience in the womb that wasn't great. Like, for example, if you had parents that fought, or maybe you had an abusive parent towards the other one, either mentally or physically or both. Or maybe you just felt really trapped. Maybe your mother's womb space was small. I don't know. It could be a lot of different variables here. That could possibly be creating some sort of subconscious mind pattern of being afraid of the water, of the darkness. So these are just examples. So this DNA, the soul DNA and physical DNA, is passed on physically, but also in karma to be worked out in your lifetime. So when this is passed on, that means that it's passed on to you, and that's what generational trauma is. It's passed on to you to be able to work it out. And your spirit guides, which many times they are passed on, they're still alive. Energy is never destroyed. The body just goes back to the earth. Okay. It's a vessel. It's a vessel that you're borrowing for your human experience, but you've never died. You never die. Energy never dies. It's never destroyed. But that energy, that karma, is passed on. So it continues to keep going until someone clears it and works on it and finally heals it. So this is where we're talking about with the Akashic DNA. Okay. So next I'm going to talk about what the Akashic DNA is and that energetic memory. So if you've heard of the Akashic records, you know they are believed to hold the energetic imprint of every thought, emotion, action, and even throughout all time and space. I think of it as the universe's infinite library of knowledge. Now, I want to note something here, okay? Is that if you are someone that is interested in the Akashic records, or you do the Akashic records now, wonderful, love it. But if you are taking courses or classes, remember that there are Akashic records for every galaxy, so it's not just ours, okay? So keeping that in mind, I know when I was doing a lot of channeling with some of the extraterrestrials, as well as some of the light beings like the archangels, some of the higher energy collectives, in deep hypnosis, that it was communicated to me that there's more than one Akashic record library. So it's tapping into all of them. So just tapping into one is only giving you part of the information. It's like only going to one library. So just keep that in mind. Akashic DNA applies this idea on a personal level. It's a belief that our DNA just doesn't store biological and genetic information, but also energetic information. Your DNA holds the story of your soul, your past experiences in this lifetime, your karmic lessons. I don't really like the word lesson. I guess your karmic experiences, and even energetic imprints passed down through your family line, which would be your ancestors. Embedded within this energetic memory are emotions and traumas that may be keeping you stuck in certain patterns. So here are some examples. Now, these are just examples. Common examples. A fear of abandonment that seems unexplained could be rooted in generational experience of loss. You can also experience abandonment and loss in your lifetime, but some of that could be coming from other ancestors or other lifetimes as well. A tendency towards self-sacrifice might be inherited from ancestors who lived in survival mode. Boy, oh boy, I gotta tell you, how many people are living in survival mode? And how much of that is really theirs? Interesting to think about. Could be passed on from generational trauma that could be from this lifetime, but could be other ancestors' lifetimes. Okay, I have to note something here that's important to remember. I like to give analogies and examples because it creates a picture in your mind. So if we think about, I'm an acupuncturist and herbalist and doctor of Chinese medicine, and if we think about Eastern philosophy, okay, of traditional Chinese medicine, that the bones are the deepest part of the body, okay? So, for example, and also the emotion that are attached to the bones is fear. So, a lot of people that have a lot of fear about their finances or they're in survival mode, they're going to have a lot of low back pain, as well as sacral and hip pain. And because they have fear, those are the lower chakras. That's the kidney energy in Chinese medicine, Eastern philosophy. The kidneys are related to fear. That's the emotion. So if you, for example, have, maybe it's been passed on that you have a lot of fear in your genetics, you might just remember always having a lot of back pain or hip pain, or, maybe you were born into this world with a defect of your hips. You might actually be working on clearing that fear and trusting in yourself, because remember, you are God, and trusting that you are an infinite creator of infinite light. It is not outside of you. So paying attention to things like that, and by all means here, stating that medical disclaimer that I'm not your medical provider. So anything that you are hearing on this podcast or any episode is for educational purposes only. Okay? So, but that's interesting to know about the back pain or hip pain. Okay? I know people that have had lower body sort of issues since they can remember. Or maybe you're someone that was actually born into the world with some sort of disability. I don't necessarily like the word disability. Why? Because I don't think anything's a disability. I think everything's about growth. And I think that the soul chooses to. Chooses because everything is about what your evolution is and the lifetime that you've chosen, okay? So think of the Akashic DNA as a beautifully intricate web of energy, deeply connected to your physical being and the spiritual plane. So I'll just give you an example here. I like talking about spirit animals. But if you are someone that's seeing a lot of spiders, I know a lot of people don't like spiders, but spiders are the feminine energy. So there's that, as well as spiders represent the energy of like a tapestry, that things are multi-layered. The divine feminine energy is very multi-layered energy. Remembering that the divine feminine is the darkness, it is the mysterious energy of going within. It's the unknown. If we think of just, this has nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman, but it just has to do with nature and what it represents, what nature represents through a man and woman. And even if you are not necessarily identify as man or woman, you're always going to have either more masculine or more feminine. It's just the way that it is, but we try to have them as balanced as possible. Because that really, it's like the yin and the yang in Chinese medicine, Eastern philosophy, that you can't have one without the other. But I think sex is interesting to talk about. And it's very fascinating to humans. I think we all understand why. But the masculine energy is very external, because if you just see it as a man, that the penis is external, and the feminine energy is internal, because women are internal. So that means that you can't see what's going on inside of the body unless you have some sort of visual diagnostic tool to be able to see that, like an MRI machine or an ultrasound machine or something like that, CAT scan, or doing some sort of diagnostic work. You can't see inside the body, which makes it very mysterious. I'm just giving you an idea here. So the feminine energy is very mysterious. It's very internal, which means that it's very multi-layered, like I was stating about the web of energy, about the spider. That when a spider builds its web, there's like so many layers to that web. And that's really what the feminine energy is. It's very unknown. It's very multi-layered. And so just something to think about. Again, this podcast is about education. I love sharing. And spirit animals is something that are messages from the universe to really be able to guide us along our journey. And life really is a scavenger hunt. That's why we don't want to know everything. We don't want to know everything of our experience, because it doesn't make it fun. If you know everything, then how fun is that? It's not the way it's designed. You're not supposed to know everything. And I also have to know, if you're someone that's on a spiritual awakening journey, that if you knew everything and everything that you were going to be going through, you wouldn't want to do it. I can tell you that so many times in my own awakenings, which has been more than once, that if I would have known what I was going into, probably wouldn't have done it. So you're not supposed to know everything. And that's part of the experience, is the unknown, feminine energy. So, but here's the great news, and this is the key. While trauma can be stored in cellular memory, it can also be healed. So if we think of money blocks, for example, remembering that money is just paper, it's energy, that we learned how to have a money block, which means we can unlearn the money block. It's the same thing with any sort of healing. Also with your body. Your body is responding to what the mind is telling it. Okay? It's not the other way around. It's not that the body is telling the soul what to do. Hell no. Okay? No way. That mindset's got to go. You are in control. Now, who's you? The real you. The one that has the inspirations, the one that has the imagination, the one that has the driver, not the ego driver, not the patterns, but the driver of that. You've always wanted to create art, or maybe you're someone that is a motivational speaker, or maybe you are someone that's always wanted to be a mom or a dad, or that you really want to help and protect people. You know, there could be a number of things. It's specific to you. You know, I don't think anyone gets up and or as a kid and says, I want to go work a 9 to 5 and I want to hate my life and I want to work for the weekend and I'm so excited about all the money I have in the bank and the house that I have and the car that I drive, but I don't get to enjoy any of it because I really don't like my life. I'm just working to work. No child ever says that, but we're conditioned to believe that. That's not who you truly are, okay? And if you are someone that's living a life like that, you're probably, when I just said that, you're thinking, gosh, I think about that all the time. I don't like this. You can always make a change. And remembering that you are here to share a unique gift that no one else has. No one else is you. No one else is you. No one else is going to have the exact DNA coding that you have. Purpose. So really following that purpose and living your life like a child. I mean, I'm not saying that that adults should be running around and, pooping their pants and, eating their boogers and running out in front of cars. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, kids are so fun, but they haven't quite figured out yet that there's certain things that, to be civilized here a little bit, but that's not what I'm saying. Children are so fun to be around because their imaginations are incredible. They don't know what time it is. They're playing. They're having a good time. They have no idea what time it is. Their imaginations, you talk to a kid and they're like, oh, I can be and do anything. Yeah, because they don't know anything different. I want you to be like that. I want you to allow yourself to be in the infinite possibilities of what you are, what drives your soul. And it really will be able to help you to heal this generational trauma, because a lot of the generational trauma is coming from people not living in their purpose, and they become very jaded and dead on the inside. And here's the thing to think about. You could be living a human experience, but be dead because you're not experiencing the beauty of the infinite possibilities, which is you, which is the imagination and all the fun and enjoying the experience. And it's like going to an amusement park and you're like, oh, I want to get on that roller coaster and I want to do that all over again. That's the experience. It's the excitement, so figuring out how to be in that. So generational trauma, we're going to talk about the impact here, is something many of us carry without even realizing it. You might notice certain repeating patterns in your life or within your family, such as emotional wounds, relationship struggles, or even experiences of lack. So I talked about that a little bit. Trauma leaves an energetic residue, and when it isn't resolved, it gets passed down through the family line. This can manifest in different ways, sometimes as limiting beliefs, sometimes even as physical health challenges. Now, it's not about blaming those who came before us. No, never. Forgiveness is something we have to do. I heard someone talk about this on a podcast the other day that's talking about narcissistic abuse, and she said she absolutely will never forgive the person that abused her. Well, I'm just going to give you my perspective on this. I don't believe that we can truly ever move on if we can't forgive. I've been involved with many narcissistic people, and I can tell you that there's some pretty evil people. Very dead on the inside. When we talk about dead energy, that is dead energy. Because they don't make their own energy. And so, but we have to forgive them. I call it alchemizing everything. And what is it that I can get from this situation to be able to evolve? Just because you forgive somebody, remembering that you're forgiving them for you. And when you're healed, that means that the entire collective of all that is also healing. And so if you really want the world to be a more peaceful place and to be healed, work on your own energy. Forgive people. It doesn't mean that they need to know that you forgave them or that you need to walk up to them and say, hey, I forgive you. Absolutely not. No, it's not about them. It's about you. So I believe that the only way that you can truly ever move on for yourself is you have to forgive people. Even the evil people. I know that's hard. There's so much evil in this world. And really, I believe that this world is just one narcissistic energy. And there's all these, chosen ones and light workers, and there's not as many of us as you would think. And there are people that haven't quite awakened yet that are also chosen ones and light workers that are fighting against this energy. And it's just what we chose. It's part of the experience of what we came here for. But the world is very narcissistic. I look at the entire world pretty much, and it's just one collective of narcissism. And I'm talking about from all kinds of perspectives: politics, religion, the medical industry, and not all medical industry. I'm in the medical industry as well. So I'm not saying that everyone is like that. Same with politics, same with religion. I'm not ever saying it's everybody, but I think as a whole operation, that's where the energy is coming from, and people get tied up in that. And it's really sad. So that's just what I see as happening, as everything's about control, trying to control you, manipulate you, gaslight you, make you think that your reality isn't in your control, as well as, well, that's manipulation, as well as make you think that certain things that you think about or that you might experience or see, that you're not really having that you're delusional, or, just taking your power away. Everything's so disempowering. So I want you to focus on the things that are empowering. So I try not to pay attention to those things. There's so much theft in the world and people trying to scam you. And that really irritates me. There's a couple of things that really irritate me. People trying to scam people, as well as bullies. I cannot stand bullies. Cannot stand them. It's the worst thing. So it's just, I have to remind myself that if I focus on those things, that I'm going to see more of that. So even though we know that they're there, that they are there to teach us something. So I'm a firm believer that when you learn something, that it doesn't come back. So if something continues to keep manifesting in your reality, there's something you still haven't learned from it. So this is all empowering because it all gives you your power back. So again, I have to remind myself of these things too. You're never done healing. So anyone that tells you that they know everything is full of shit. You're going to hear me say that all the time. Because it's true. You're never done, because you're never done, because you're constantly evolving. And if you're not constantly evolving and changing and growing, then something's not right. It's just the way it works. It's the way the universe works. It never stays the same. Neither do you, because you're not separate from the universe. You are the universe. So again, I mentioned trauma leaves an energetic residue, and this really can be resolved. But we can see it manifesting in different ways, and that's limiting beliefs. And I think I've already stated this, but also physical health challenges. I talked about the back pain that was just an example, back pain, hip pain. And this is how we got into this. It's not about blaming others for the generational trauma that you might have. The only way to clearly to be able to clear it is understanding and having the awareness of why that might have been endured. So the only way that you're ever going to move forward in anything is to have the awareness, is step one. To have the awareness about something, to be able to accept that it's there and then move it out. If that's not something that someone's going to be able to do, then it's going to continue to keep coming up. So that's step one. And through you, healing can occur for past and future generations. So if you're someone that has kids or you want to have kids, think about your kids. I don't ever want people to think about others before them. Even if you are a parent or you're looking to be a parent, you always have to fill up your own cup first. So as crazy as that sounds as a parent, that you have to take care of yourself first, you do. Because the only way that you're going to truly be able to fulfill the relationship and the needs of your children is to fill up your own cup first. So definitely make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because that is going to really be able to help not only your kids in this generation, but their kids too, and in future generations. And even if you're someone that doesn't have kids, I don't have kids, but I help all kinds of people have kids and help them with their mindsets and energy blocks and working on subconscious behaviors, as well as the physical body and how that relates to fertility and how that relates to reproductive medicine and the hormones. I won't talk too much about that, but I have chosen to help future generations because of what I do. So even helping you is helping future generations. So we're all nurturing in our own ways. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have kids. I don't think people should have kids unless they want to. And if you do have them, that's incredible. Kids are great. They're beautiful little beings, and they're so much fun. And if we're doing it right, they grow up and they are incredible in helping other future generations. So, but also trauma also brings things out of people as well. So I had a very traumatic childhood, and I know that just because you have a traumatic childhood doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to do great things in your life. So I don't want to put that message out there in what I just said. But you have the power to gently untangle those knots in your energetic web of your DNA, which ripples outward to create change for your loved ones, even those who came before you. Remembering, never forget this, everything is connected. It is not separate, even if the person is not here anymore. I have a client of mine that just recently lost her father, and we've been working through that and really helping her to understand that he's not gone. He's physically not in his body anymore, but he is very much here. And every single time I work with my client, he comes through and he's very happy and jolly and has a great sense of humor and is always sending wonderful messages. So they're never gone. They're just not here in physical form anymore, but their consciousness and your consciousness, and you've never not been consciousness. So healing cellular memory through energy work. So we're going to talk about some ideas here. This brings us to the heart of today's episode, which is how to heal cellular memory and rewrite those energetic patterns stored in your DNA. It starts with awareness, as I had said before. And here are 6 powerful ways to begin healing at the cellular and energetic level. So number 1 is acknowledge and honor your family story. Take some time to reflect on your family history. Are these patterns, are there patterns you can identify? Bring compassion to this process and understand that every person in your lineage has their own story of survival and strength. So I'm going to say again, forgiveness. And maybe you don't know everything of what's happened in your family, but meditation does wonders. Also, hypnotherapy and past life regression, which I'll talk about in a second, really being able to go in and communicate with your ancestors about messages that they have for you, about how to clear some of this generational trauma. You don't have to be an intuitive medium like myself, or some people use the word psychic. Not really a fan of the whole psychic storyteller thing, or shouldn't say storyteller, fortune teller. I'm a storyteller. Great storyteller. That's what energy channeling is basically being able to tell a wonderful, beautiful story of how spirit is communicating it. But I don't really dig the psychic word because I think people think of fortune telling. But if that resonates with you, that's fine. I call myself an intuitive medium, born intuitive medium, and really had a lot of experience as a child. And that only has progressed as I've gotten older with the different spiritual awakenings I've had. One being my near-death experience. So other things, number 2 would be energy healing modalities. Some of the energy healing practices like Reiki, acupuncture. Gotta love acupuncture as an acupuncturist. I'm also a master energy healer, as well as breath work. Wow, breath work is amazing. If you're someone into breath work, it's so incredible. Can really be helpful in working through trauma. And also, if you have anxiety, there's a lot of different areas that you can use breath work. Can really help shift stagnant energy and remove emotional blockages from the body. These modalities interact with your energy field and can work wonders for the cellular memory. So we also, number 3, we have inner child and shadow work. Sometimes the patterns stored in our DNA are mirrored in our own experiences. Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense, right? Our own experiences from this lifetime or other lifetimes. Working on nurturing your inner child and gently confront those shadows, hidden patterns of yourself, and where you hold pain or fear, and reaffirming to yourself that you are safe and being very compassionate. Also giving yourself tons of love and grace, and reaffirming to yourself that you are safe. Okay. Visualizations do wonders. This would be part of that. Something that I do work with my clients on is visualizations, which is very helpful in being able to do shadow work. We also work with the Akashic records. We've talked a lot about that, and the Akashic records really help you to tap into the broader energetic patterns at a soul level. Information stored within you. So it's that library that's within you. It's a deeply personal and spiritual way to gain insight into the why behind patterns and begin releasing them. I mentioned this just a second ago. Number 5 would be guided visualizations and meditations. Visualization is an incredibly powerful tool to rewrite cellular memory. Imagine yourself rewriting limiting beliefs and infusing your cells with light, love, and the energy of possibility, as well as remembering healing is not a one-time event. It's a process, and every small step will take you toward awareness and love for yourself and makes a difference. And number 6 is past life regression therapy. Past life regression therapy is a unique method that allows individuals to explore memories from previous lifetimes, uncovering connections to their current life challenges. By assessing these deep layers of the subconscious mind, individuals may gain insight, healing, and a sense of closure from unresolved patterns or experiences. This process can offer profound clarity and help in releasing blockages that have carried over from the past. Now, I want to note that past lives are important, remembering that everything is happening all at once. I know that can be hard to grasp your mind around, but it is, even though we say past lifetimes. When I do past life regression therapy with my clients, I don't just call in their past lifetimes. I also call in their ancestors, as well as any light beings, spirit guides, anybody that is attached to their energy that is working with their energy. Okay. I bring them into this too, because they have answers as well. Okay. So it gets really interesting. And some people are very intuitive, so they're very open to it. Whereas others, it might take a little bit of time to kind of be patient and really get them more comfortable with it. But what I have to say is, as someone that was extremely skeptical, so I'm a Capricorn, which makes me very practical. But I also have a lot of water in my birth chart, which makes me very intuitive. So I'm very push and pull. I can be until I've learned who I am. And so the Capricorn, that practical sort of energy comes out when it's needed, makes me a very good entrepreneur and leader. But the intuitive energies of more of those feminine energies is really great to use when I'm working with people with trusting their intuition. But what I can tell you is the greatest hurdle that was for me is doubting. So when you're working with these energies, try to remember that trusting yourself and not doubt it. So whenever you're doing past life regression therapy or hypnotherapy, that it's not doubting what you're seeing and experiencing. So when you go and you do some of these therapies, it's remembering when you get out of it after you've completed the therapy. And then after I talk to my clients after the therapy, we have a little bit, what happened. We talk about it and really reaffirming that what you experienced was not fake. It was real. Because that is a huge part of the journey, is learning how to trust that, trusting your intuition and what you're experiencing and the memories and the information that you're getting from within, because that really is your GPS. That's the only way to truly know what resonates with you, is really being able to look within. So you have to trust yourself, and that can take a little bit of time. So that's kind of why I'm mentioning that it took me a while, just because of the practical sort of energy that I withhold in my experience, and really learning to work with those energies. So work with both sides that I have and really integrating them and accepting who I am. So that's a huge part of this journey. I think that that's one of the biggest parts, is really being able to know who you are and how to move with your uniqueness versus being like what you think you should be based on society. So there you have it. So this has been a wonderful episode. I'm super excited to be able to present this and offer this information to you today. Have you spent some time with me? So if you've made it this far, you have already begun your healing process just by listening to me. Awareness alone has the power to shift energy. And as you continue this work, remember that healing yourself is an act of love, not only for you, but for the ancestors and generations to come, and also your family and loved ones as well, the people that are around you now. So if you would like support more on this path, I do offer VIP programs as well as intuitive sessions, readings. You can find all the information on my website, as well as I will link this in the show notes. I want to remind you that I am teaching a class at Our Well. It's a virtual event. It is going to be Decoding the Universe Masterclass on May 12th at 3:30 Mountain Time. So if that is something that you're interested in, you can find that on my website. It's going to be really great. I'm going to be giving away some extras with it. And it's going to be a special class. So I will make sure that I link all that in the show notes, as well as if you are somebody that would like to learn more about manifestation, I do have a free download on my website, also included in the show notes. So definitely check that out. So you can stay up to date on what we're doing here at Intuitive Mind Lab Radio, as well as different teachings and classes that I'm offering, and really being able to be in the best version of yourself, having that high vibe and really awakening yourself within. That's what I'm all about. So make sure to stay up to date on that, as well as hit that subscribe button on whatever app you're listening to. Follow us here at Intuitive Mind Lab Radio, and share this episode if you feel it resonated with you and could resonate with someone else. Always love to share. the love and abundance. So together we are healing one cell at a time, remembering that your physical body is only a very small smidgen of what you truly are. So thanks so much for joining me today on this episode of Intuitive Mind Lab Radio. And until next time, stay grounded, yet expansive. Keep yourself curious and keep unraveling the magic of your own unique energy. And that's a wrap for this episode on Intuitive Mind Lab Radio. If this episode sparked your curiosity or lit a fire in your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your Cosmo-loving bestie, and hey, if you're feeling the vibes, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. Until next time, remember this, it's your universe, and you hold the power to master it. I'll see you next time in a mind-expanding Intuitive Mind Lab Radio episode. Stay curious, bold, and always true to your authentic self. Much love always.